LSU recruiting targets, commits, transfers, and, of course, COVID. Next on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. All right, we're talking Bayou Bengals here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Of course, lock it in. When you subscribe, you turn on the bell for the notifications. That way you know when we're going live. And, of course, we're covering LSU with Lon Phillips Sullivan. Catch him on LSU Odyssey. Lon, how you doing today?
We're doing good, Mark. How about you?
Doing well. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you, too.
Let's break down the Bayou Bengals. So much information you're feeding me over there on our Twitter direct message board where you just you're filling me up with all sorts of information. So much going on in regards to recruiting and transfers, and of course the COVID situation. So let's start with this transfer portal entries recently by Marcel Brooks and Eric Monroe as well.
Yeah, it's sad to see two title contributors go. Eric Monroe, he was a little deep on the safety depth chart, and there's a lot of guys in right in his way for that position. Even freshman Jordan Tolles, I've been told, is a little bit, he's really loved by Bo Pelini. So I don't think Eric Monroe had a legitimate chance to start or be a big-time guy at LSU. I think this is the right decision for his career to go somewhere else. He'll probably be a starter anywhere else, especially with the need at safety being kind of a college football-wide plague in my eyes currently. It doesn't seem to be a position with too many naturally gifted players. A lot of hybrid guys are used there nowadays. Eric Monroe, he can do that. But we thank him for providing us with Caleb Chase on as well, his friend from Houston. So Eric Monroe, happy trails. I wish him nothing but the best. I think Eric Monroe is going to be fantastic, and he will be an NFL draft pick one day. But Marcel Brooks, this is an interesting situation with many layers, and we hope the situation changes. LSU fans love this guy. He is an LSU favorite empirically. As a freshman, he was already a star, basically, not only on social media, but on the field. When that guy made a play, Death Valley became electric. Watch the Florida game and what he does to Kyle Trask's face. And this instant he deletes Kyle Trask, Death Valley, it's something special. The way after Alabama, when he went over into the student section where the recruits, the visiting players for Alabama are, they did these poses like this and stuff like that. Marcel Brooks led that charge. LSU fans went crazy. Recruits went crazy. The recruits that were there, some of their names, they've joined LSU because of that moment, just right in the face. Elias Ricks, he was one of them. Right after that game, Elias Ricks, the #1 corner in America, he came our way because of that definitive statement. Marcel Brooks, he had impacts. 1.5 sacks. You'll look at the numbers, blah, blah, blah. But quarterback hurries, the ways he could penetrate the backfield, you could put this guy anywhere. He was listed initially as a safety once he became on the roster, but he was always a linebacker, out of Flower Mound, Texas, the same city Garrett Nussmeier's from. But Marcel Brooks did consider himself a DB. If you look at his Twitter profile, it says DB and DBU, all that stuff. He's very... So when he was moved to outside linebacker / middle linebacker, they're competing for those roles right now. It's kind of hard to say who will be the Mike linebacker by the end of fall, going into the season. It's hard to say who will be the Sam, who will be the Will, but they're all competing for those positions, and we're going to see who has the attributes to fill those roles. Marcel Brooks was in the mix big time. Coach Orgeron publicly stated many times that we have to get Marcel on the field at all costs, no matter what it takes, because he's just too big of a playmaker on defense. And you could see that. He had playing time in 11 games, 118 snaps. Just the way he could enter the backfield, free up so many plays for Patrick Queen and Jacob Phillips and guys like that to make last year. I hope he reconsiders, because Marcel, we love you, baby. Home's not too far away. I'm sure Coach Orgeron can get you a jet, whatever you need, but we got to keep you in Baton Rouge, man. We got to keep you in Baton Rouge. Please reconsider. But if you do go, Marcel, we still love you, and you will always be a national champion Tiger in our eyes, and you've got a fan right here. Forever.
All right, folks, jump on over to LSU Odyssey and check out Lon Philip Sullivan work recently posting some videos concerning Rajon Davis, or some articles there. Rajon Davis and his emergence as a possible leader, despite his youth just coming into the program, and a number of recruiting profiles for 2021. That sets us up for this recruiting situation. Man, you've got news for me every other day, it seems, Lon, in regards to this 2021 class that ranks right now 9th in the nation, 3rd in the SEC, coming off a 4th rated class in the nation in 2020. So who got you excited in regards to recent commits and some possible targets out there?
So many, Mark. It's not even funny. 9th ranked. We are getting no love from Go 24/7. We're getting no love from rivals. Like, I don't get it. Ohio State, Tennessee, all these people, like, flavor of the month, man. Like, we've got guys who can stand the test of time, stand the test of the online. We've got guys like Rajon Davis. He was downgraded from a 5-star to a 4-star by Go 24/7 without even playing a down. Like, did he sneeze inaccurately or something? What's going on here? Like, I don't understand.
I've made the same comment recently. We've had a few shows, and I've heard about guys either plummeting or rising, and I've said, did I miss football season? Did we have high school? Yeah. What did this kid just go out and run for 250 yards and 5 touchdowns? I don't know why did he rise 200 spots?
It boggles the mind, Mark. It's like, I get that these guys are experts. I get that they are in the know. A lot of them are just feeding me information. And that's where we're getting it from. We're getting it ahead of the pack because we've got friends in high places, and they trust us not to, bleed and leak the news before them. We don't do that to people, and so we let the people who report that news on the ground, because we can't be there. We let them report that news first, but it just seems that what's going on with this 2021 class is something special. Some of these guys, Garrett Nussmeier leading the pack, this guy is for real. I've mentioned before, he's from Marcel Brooks, same city of Flower Mound, Texas. I don't get what's in the water there, but this guy is special. He's been a project of Steve Ensminger from predating the Joe Burrow era. This guy was supposed to just follow Miles Brennan after 2019 and 2020. Ended up being a whole different thing altogether now. And Garrett Nussmeier, he's a firm Steve Ensminger favorite. But more than that, it's what Garrett Nussmeier and Joe Burrow, Miles Brennan, it's what that tier of quarterbacks has kind of become for LSU. And we'll get into that after we discuss the 2021 class in further detail, but it's very exciting. Nussmeier is huge. His selection, I think, was the first domino to drop, because after him, now it's Garrett Dellinger. This guy, I told you about him back in April on your show. This guy from Michigan, this Clarkston High, him and Rocco Spindler, they're teammates. We want these guys. James Craig has been going hard after them for almost a year and a half now, from what I've been told. Both are fantastic. And the fact that we got Garrett Dellinger from Ohio State, from his home state of Michigan, Alabama was in the mix for a long time, a bunch of other contenders. Garrett Dellinger was huge. And it seems offensive linemen, once you get one of them, they all they gravitate towards that. Tristan Leigh, I hope we can pull that off as well. Tristan Leigh is a fantastic dude. I mean, this guy on and off the field, he's a high character dude that you would really want on your team. And I hope Tristan Leigh considers LSU, Baton Rouge. It would be big time for him and his projections for the NFL career. And more than that, Rajon Davis as an outside linebacker, that fills the need that we're going to have with guys like Marcel Brooks. If he transfers, that's huge. We need to fill that. Jacoby Stevens now, strong safety, will probably have to move to outside linebacker, I would suspect, if Marcel Brooks leaves. That could be very interesting, because then he's gone as well. Race John Davis is a huge get if we can, and JaQuincy Kool-Aid McKinstry, this corner from Alabama, if we can get him to defect from Alabama, Clemson, some of those big names in the mix for him, that would be fantastic. He's a two-sport guy. He wants to play basketball as well. That is non-negotiable with him. He wants to be basketball and football. Will Wade has a very exciting program at LSU, Mark, and I think that would be attractive for him over Alabama's basketball program as well. And I don't think Nick Saban is as big with letting his guys play two sports. And Coach Orgeron doesn't seem to mind, as he has let Mo Hampton play two sports. Even Kerry Vincent Jr. Ran track as well with LSU.
Talking LSU Tigers, we got Lon Phillips Sullivan on the line. You got to jump on over to LSU Odyssey and check out his work covering LSU football right there. I want to let you know that we had our first exclusive live stream upon your request. So what we do here is starting this past week, we had a great conversation with 12 of you where you jumped online. So just imagine yourself out there in Lon's position talking to the voice of college football. We mix it up for like an hour and a half. So let me know down in the comments section if you're interested in the next exclusive live stream coming on, talking college football with me directly, or you can just sit in the audience and reserve a spot. So just let me know by just saying, I'm interested, and we will go from there. All right, Lon, got some targets out there. You've certainly set us up on the recruiting situation, but what's playing a mess with college football is, of course, the COVID situation. And, based on, it's sheer projection. People are asking me every day, is there going to be a season? Is it going to be on time? What's going to happen? Are we going to have certain games eliminated? All those questions are obviously still on the table and will be day to day. It's a day-to-day process in regards to the testing and the guidelines being played out. How do you see in regards to putting the number that's been reported in recent days in regards to the number of LSU athletes who have tested positive with what the guidelines are currently, and how you see this playing out at this point?
Well, everybody, the 30 players, I mean, it was just said around and around on social media, 30 players tested positive LSU. That was not the truth. It was 30 players placed into quarantine. This doesn't speak to LSU, being irresponsible. I actually think more so than Ohio State trying to get their players to sign waivers to, not being liable in any way if they become sick or hurt or anything from COVID. LSU instead took responsibility for these kids, and LSU's kids actually did it the right way. When they felt that they had been exposed to the coronavirus, which many had at the Tigerland bars there in Baton Rouge on campus, they said something. And Shelly Molinex, brilliant piece of our program. Shelly's been there since 2000. We have not won a national championship without her on our staff. She's been way ahead of this issue. There's only been a few players who've exhibited symptoms that were more than a mild cold-like symptoms, as most would expect. But it's still very, very worrying about the season. It's very worrying about what would be the long-term effects on these players with their burst, with their lung capacity, with their stamina during games. It's very dark times, Mark, for college football. I mean, I don't think we could you have foreseen something like this? I mean, yes, we all knew about pandemics. We all did biology class. We all knew what all this stuff could mean. Anthrax, H1N1, all that stuff. But this is something altogether different, where just from being social, being around, breathing the same air as another human being could mean your death, your hospitalization. But I will say one very, very hopeful thing for college football, and I hope this trend does continue. I hope players do, admit when they've been exposed and go into quarantine responsibly, as LSU has. This is the example of how you do it. But one thing I will say for college football, there has not been one intensive care hospitalization from a college football player. There's not been one death from a college football player. And that is something fantastic that I hope just only continues. I hope these deaths in all these states, all this spike just continues to go down. I hope we don't open up way too quick, because I think that's what happened, a few months ago, month and a half ago, when they did that, when they opened up way too quick in some of those states. And it's just goes to show we don't really know what we're dealing with here. And if we want a college football season, we can't be messing around with this.
So I was just having a conversation with somebody just minutes before we started recording, and basically said the same thing that you just said, that based on recent numbers that are coming back, I think we can draw two conclusions, and one's very positive and one's unfortunately negative. The negative is that many more people are contracting this than we had anticipated. So a lot of people are out there with it. So that's the negative, and the ease at which people are taking on this virus. But then on the positive side, the at least immediate, we don't know the long-term effects, as you just pointed out. We'll never know the long-term effects until that time arrives. But in terms of the immediate effects, it's very, very pinpointed toward the older population. Not saying that younger people have not been impacted. It depends on the circumstance. But the percentages say that a lot of people are getting it, but people of obvious health and at a certain age are at a very minimal degree impacted right now. Oh yeah.
And how many of those are top college football players? It's interesting. Who's going to have that? Who are we going to find out actually has an asthma, problem? And because playing bits and pieces of college football, that's not really going to take an asthmatic down. But having COVID combined with trying to, play defensive or offensive line, that's absolutely debilitating. I mean, I played college football for a long time. Not college football, excuse me. I played football for a long time. It's a very debilitating, strenuous thing right on your lungs. You can feel it all through your chest. You can taste that blood. It's a very intensive thing for your lungs, a very cardiovascular exercise. So I don't know what's going to happen with some of these players who may have health issues. I mean, everyone's kind of just said, oh, well, these college football players will be fine. We've seen a lot. Let's hold the roll on that. We've seen a lot of players. Well, not a lot of players, but a lot of young people with certain health issues that aren't really pronounced as they're walking around publicly. We've seen those come to the fore all of a sudden with this virus. We've seen strokes and all sorts of madness with kidneys and things like that. It's been scary stuff. And so let's hope that trend completely comes to a halt when people just say, hey, I've been exposed. They quarantine themselves. Let's stop this spread as much as we can. Let's get this over with. Let's pound this virus into the ground.
So, folks, you know what to do. Please like the video. Leave your thoughts below concerning any of these topics we just covered with recruiting, the transfer portal, and with the COVID situation with LSU. And, of course, subscribe to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, and head on over to LSU Odyssey with Lon Phillips Sullivan. Lon, we appreciate you stopping by.
Take it easy, Mark. Go Tigers.